Our next task is to add several properties to our CSS file that are going to be used in our HTML file. And so what I was telling you earlier is that the CSS file should contain all the presentation information, and the HTML file should simply contain the content, right? So over here in the index.html, let me go ahead and drag it over. You could see here that I used h1 and I used center, right? Those are all like presentation tags, right? They have to do with how the content is being presented. So now that we have CSS, I don't want to use those, and I'm gonna do this same thing using my CSS file. So CSS only acts on elements. Right? That's why when we were over here in the My Styles, I had the body, and that's an element in my web page. Right? Here's the body element. And so if I want this to be acted upon by the CSS file, I need to put it into a div. Okay, so I'm going to say div, and I'm going to say class equals. I'll put 2 double quotes, and I'll say title. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the end and say /div. And if you're thinking, what is a div? A div you could think of as a box. Okay, and so we're just putting this class title around the title. And so what I can do now is I can go to My Styles, and I can hit enter, and to signify a class you put a period. So you say period, and you say title, the class name, the 2 curly brackets, hit enter, and you put in the properties that you want that element to have. And so I want it to be centered, so the CSS property that's used to center the content is text align colon center semicolon. Right? So if I come back over here and I take a look at this, you can see it's centered. Okay. You can see also that it shrunk, and we could fix that too, because we can come in here and we could say font size, and you can say 30 pixels. Save that, refresh, gets bigger, right? You can make it even bigger by saying 50 pixels, and we can also say font weight strong. Save that, refresh. Ooh, the strong didn't work. Maybe I could say bold. Refresh. Yeah, there we go. So now it's bolded, right? And if you're thinking, where are all these properties? Well, W3 Schools is the best place. So I could say like CSS properties, and then we got this W3 Schools web page, and you can go through them, right? Yeah, there's a lot of them, and it might be a little bit confusing, but we're going to learn how they work one at a time. And you're not going to be using all of them. You're just going to be using a subset of them, right? So then, okay, so then that's the reference web page where you can find what the syntax is for all the different properties that we're going to be using, and maybe for properties that you want to use but you're not sure what they're called, right? So then let's come back over here. So we got the title worked out, and now we want to do the same thing here with the quote, right? So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to say div class equals, I'm going to say quote, and then I'm going to come to here to the end, and I'm going to say /div and hit enter. And so now we can go to our CSS file, and we could say dot quote to parentheses, and I'm going to put, ooh, I don't know how to make it italicized, but I want it italicized, right? So let me put italic. So font style property, and I can use this. So there we go. I copy that, and I'll put it here, and of course I want this guy to be centered. Well, let's go ahead and check it out. So we'll go ahead and save it, and we'll come to our index.html page and refresh it, and you can see that it is italicized. I do want to make it bigger and also centered, right? And actually I want to get rid of the background red too, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. We'll save it, and I'll say text align center, and also make the font size bigger. So font size 35 pixels. And I'll save that and refresh it. Ooh, 35 is probably too much, so I'll do 25 instead. refresh. Okay, that looks good. And I think that takes care of everything. Okay, oh, actually we want to also add a background picture. Right? And so how does the background picture work? Well, we're going to do the background picture in CSS. And on a web page, the pictures are always in a folder called images. So we need to make that folder called images in our web project. So you're going to right click onto the web project and you can say new folder, and we're going to call it images. Okay, so I got my images folder there, and you're going to find a picture and copy it and drag it into that folder. Okay, so I already have a picture, so I'm going to come right over here and go to my images folder. That's the one I found and I'm using on this web page. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it right into my images folder. And now that I have it and it's there in my CSS file, in the body, I'm going to say background image. Ooh, I forgot the syntax. So I'm going to come back over here to see 3 schools, and I'm going to say CSS background image. And I click on the first link, and this is the command or the property. So I'll copy that, I'll come over here and I'll paste it in, and right here is the path to the picture. So you can see here that my index page is here, and I need to go into the images folder, and then in the images folder I need to pick the background picture. So to go into a folder, you type the folder's name, images /, and now I could type in the name of the picture that I want. So I want to say background.jpg. I'll save that, and that should work for us. So I come over here to index and I refresh it, and there we go. So I got my picture, and if I zoom out, you could see that it's there. Okay, and we'll go ahead and kick it around a little bit more as we move forward through the tutorial.